Kadosh, Erev Tov. Kinyan Masechta. We are on Masechet Taanit, Daf Yod Amud Bet. Says the Gemara, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Okay, we are, I don't know how many lines down, but a little gimel over there. 2, 4, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 lines down. Tanu Rabbanan. Mishayam Itaneh Latzara ve'avra. Right? Imagine right now somebody is doing Taanit for something negative that happened. And or ala chole v'nitrapa. So what happened was he does it, for example, on something bad, and all of a sudden it stops. Or for example, ala chole, on a sick person, nitrapa, and then he became cured. Does he have to finish his ta'anit or not? Says the Gemara, he has to finish his ta'anit. Because if not, it looks as if he's making a t'nai with Hashem. That if it passes by, if the tzara will go, so then, right, he's not going to fast. But only if not, that he will fast. But it's not true. He has to come and he has to actually fast no matter what happens. Okay? That's what it says over here. Okay? Because if not, he says here that somebody that's not going to be mitaneh v'chozeh b'tshuva shelema b'lev shalem, so it's like keilu, he's only doing it for the time of the tzara. So it's like, you start the medicine and then you stop taking the medicine in the middle. You understand? You have to finish with the medicine. So you started with the medicine, finish with it. Okay? Very good. Says the Gemara, ha'olech mimakom she'en mitanin lemakom she'mitanin. If a person comes and he's going from a place she'en mitanin, that they do not fast, lemakom she'mitanin, to a place where they do fast. So imagine right now, you're in a place, right, that they're not fasting. You go to a place, they're fasting today. So what are you supposed to do? You have to fast with them. Okay, so you have to fast with the place that you came to. You can't just say, listen, I'm going to enjoy myself because I came from somewhere else. No. You can't be a chatan between the avelim. So you're going to have to fast. What about the opposite? A place where you're fasting to a place where you're not fasting. You know that in this city they're fasting. So you're going to go next door, right? And you're going to say, okay, I don't need to fast. You also have to finish fasting, right? Why? Because you're still part of the people that came from that vicinity. Shachach ve'achal ve'shata. Imagine right now you forgot, and you actually, right, you forgot, and you're eating and drinking, right? So you forgot, and you're eating and drinking. Al yitra'eh bifnei hatzibur. He comes and he says, don't show yourself in front of the tzibur. Why? Imagine right now, you just come, you just bloated yourself up, you're all full, and kilu now. Don't show yourself in the tzibur, because they're going to come, they're going to say, hey, listen, look at this guy just ate, I don't know what. So don't show yourselves. How do you know that? Shneimar, vayomer Yaakov levanav. Says Yaakov levanav, lama titrau. You heard that? What parasha is this? Vayomer Yaakov levanav. Just said it. Why are you going to show yourself? Right? Amar lehem Yaakov levanav. Says Yaakov to his children, yeah? אל תראו עצמכם כשאתם שבעים, לא בפני עיסאו ולא בפני ישמעאל. Do not show yourselves when you're satiated, not in front of Esav and not in front of Yishmael, כדי שלא יתקנאו בכם, so that means they're not jealous of you. This, by the way, is a musar haskel. I say it all the time, people don't listen, but I still say it. I say it all the time. This was a musar that the Gemara is bringing down. It's also brought down in the Kli Yakar in Parashat Devarim. But the Kli Yakar also brings down the same yisod, that a person should be very careful not to show off in front of the goyim, because it makes them jealous, and it's going to cause us a lot of problems and a lot of suffering. So for when you have these people that they have money, you could have all the money in the world, but why are you showing off in front of the goy? Why are you showing them that you have the millions or the billions or the this and that? Be humble. Lama titrau. Why are you going to show yourself off? Right? And that's exactly what Yaakov Avinu was telling. Yeah, was telling his, especially before in Esav and Ishmael. Why Davka before Esav and Ishmael? Very. A person should be very careful not to come and start using this world, because if Esav is going to say, "What are you stealing my world? Right? You're taking my olam hazeh. Olam hazeh is mine. Yours is going to be olam haba." Okay. Which one? I know you asked. Next, it says in the Torah, right after it says Lama Titrau, it says over there, Yosef Avinu, Yosef Hasadik sends his brothers, Vaishalach Yosef et Echahu. le'eretz Canaan. Yeah, he comes and he sends, right, his brothers to the land of Canaan. What does he tell them? Al tirgezu badarech. How many explanations are we going to now see on this explanation on Al tirgezu badarech? He says, Amar Rabbi Elazar. Says Rabbi Elazar, Amar laim Yosef le'echav. Says Yosef to his brothers, Al titasku bidvar halacha, shema tirgezu alechem adarech. Don't come and start being osek b'halacha. Yeah, you heard. Yeah, when you learn a lot of halacha, halacha is not just aleph bet. Halacha, you have to go deep. You have to understand where does halacha come from. Where's the Gemara? From the Gemara down to the halacha, the Rishonim, in which circumstances, whatnot. It's not just aleph bet gimel daled hey. You understand? You have to understand. So therefore, he tells them, don't go so deep in halacha. Why? Because then you're going to make a mistake on the path. Right? You're going to lose the path. Okay? So ask the Gemara, and is it so? Are you going to tell me that they're not supposed to come and they're not supposed to learn? He says, V'amar Rabbi Elai bar Bechya. Says Rabbi Elai bar Bechya. Shnei tamidei chachamim shemalchim badarech. When you have two tamidei chachamim that they're going on the path, V'em benehem divrei Torah, and they do not have divrei Torah, ro'in lisaref. They are fitting to be burnt. Shneimar, but it says in the pasuk Melachim, Vayihem ha'olchim aloch v'daber. But they were going and they were speaking on the path. They were speaking divrei Torah. And all of a sudden there was fire which was separating between Eliyahu Navi and Elisha, his student, and then that's what separated that Eliyahu Navi went up with a fire to heaven. So therefore, for the fact that it says Halok Vedaber means that they were speaking Divrei Torah, that's why Tama, the reason why they were only separated by Rechev and Suse'esh, and they weren't actually burnt by the fire. Why weren't they burnt by the fire? Tika Dibur. They were speaking Dvarim. What is Dvarim? Divrei Torah. Yeah, so he comes and he says, Haleka Dibur, but if there's no Dibur, Ruin Nisaref. They were fitting to be burnt from that same fire. So that's why it's so important. Well, no, so it's not only, but it's especially by the Talmidei Chachamim that they're actually coming and they are going to be doing that. But the concept though is minimum. The brothers of Yosef were Talmidei Chachamim at least. So what are you telling me now that he told them don't learn halacha because keilu, if not, they're going to make a mistake. They have to be learning. If not, they're going to be burnt by a fire. But not deep, so answers the Gemara. It's not a question. He comes and he says, this is lemigras and this is the unit. Lemigras just means learn, right? Just to be gores. Gores is girsa. You know what girsa is? Girsa is just text, just learning text, right? Like what you're doing. First, you have to do the Kinyan Masechta very, very well, many times. Now, how many times do you have to do chazara? Remy, how many times do you have to do chazara? Every week, minimum 6 times. 40. Yeah, minimum 6. No, 40 times. No, you have to do twice every single day for the next day. But you have to do a minimum that every single week you already did 6 times. By the time the next chazara, you do another 6. You have to know it backwards and forwards. You have to know it very, very well. Yeah, 40 times, just like what they said. Yeah, so he says, Lakashya, hala migras, vehala yune. One of them is just stam lemigras. One of them is a yun. What does that mean? If you want first it to be lemigras, and that you always have to do. Anywhere where you're going, boom, lemigras. Just learn, continue. But then there's liyune to come into iyun. There, don't do on the way. Because if you're going to be doing that on the path, and that's what I told you, right? The same thing. Sometimes you even have it by shiurim, right? I know that if you're traveling and you're going to put a shiur, some shiurim are very, very cute. What does it mean cute? You could listen to it in the car and go driving and nothing happens. But some shiurim, they're so deep. You have to focus. If you're not going to be driving. So it's either or. You understand? You have to make up the decision. Okay? Now, this was to do with al tigezu badarech. In the Braita, we actually learned al tafsiu psei agesa. What does it mean here? That when it comes and it says that he comes and he tells them al tigezu badarech, he says al tafsiu psei gasa. What does that mean? Don't go berog. Derech means don't come and take big steps. And when you're going to go into a city, you always go into the city when it's still light, when it's still daylight, when there's still light. Now the Gemara is going to explain. Don't take big steps. Then when a person takes big steps, it takes 1/500th from the eyesight of a human being. Okay, and that's why we said, if you remember, that you're going to look at the candles of Shabbat during the Friday night, Yom HaShishi. Why? Because you have Ner and Ner. Ner is the numerical value of 250. And ner is the numerical value of 250. 2 candles. You look at the 2 candles, and that brings back, right, the eyesight. Right? That's why you're supposed to look. Besides the fact that we spoke about the ner and ner, that is because the male has 248 organs in the bottom, and the woman has 252 organs in the body. 252 plus 248 is 500. So that's why we light 2 candles for Shabbat, one for the man and one for the woman, right? Also, that's a Shalom Bait. You have them all here, right? And that's also besides all the other things as well. But basically, that's when you're looking. So during Yom HaShishi, you're looking at the candles, and then during the Beracha, you're looking inside the cup. Okay, that's the way that it's supposed to be done. Okay, what does it mean that you're going to be going into the city when it's daytime? Just like Rabbi Yehuda, in the name of Rav. The Amar of Yehuda Rav says of Yehuda Rav, Leolam yetzeh adam b'chitov, v'yikanes b'chitov. A person should always go in, right, when it's going to be kitov. Right? What does it mean kitov? Because we know that when the Torah says v'yar Elohim et haor kitov, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw the or, the light, and that was kitov. So therefore, a person should always go into the city when it's kitov, and he should always leave the city when it's kitov. Shneimar, but it says in a pasuk that we just read, haboker or v'anashim shulechu. It was the morning, and then they were sent off. Meaning they were only sent off in the morning. They weren't going to send them off in the middle of the night. You send somebody in the middle of the night, it's sakara. You don't do that, it's a danger. So therefore, you always go during the day. And that's why Yosef HaTzadik was telling his brothers, you should always travel during daytime. We did speak about last time, if you remember, the entire concept, if there's a lot of light, is that considered daytime, not daytime? Fine. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rabbi Chia. Says Rav Yehuda, the name of Rabbi Chia. Hamalech baderech al yochal yoter mishne ra'avon. If a person's traveling on the path, he shouldn't eat more than what he would eat during the time of a famine. My time, what's the reasoning? Here in Babel, they said the reason why is mishum mayana, because of the stomach, right? What is a mayan? What does that mean? If a person is going to eat a lot, because he travels a lot, his stomach becomes all, twists and turns. Usually people, when they travel, they're very nervous. I don't know if you've ever seen it. You could have a flight, which is a 2.5 hour, 3 hour flight. You're going from here to New York, nothing. Here to, doesn't matter what it is. The second you're traveling makes a person bul de ner. Right? It makes him nervous. You understand? It makes him, so what happens? His stomach starts turning around, twisting. So what happens? Don't eat too much. Why? If you're going to start eating too much, right? What do you think? They all have the vomit bags in the, the thing. A person has to be careful. That's mayana. But in Eretz Yisrael, they said, mishum mezonot. It's because of mezonot. What does it mean mezonot? Because basically what's going to happen is you're going to eat a lot. All of a sudden you go to the place, and all of a sudden you thought that they had 20 restaurants, they had one. And the restaurant that they had was, you don't even like it. And therefore you don't have food. And then what are you going to do? You're in trouble. So because of that, don't eat too much when you're traveling. When you're traveling, take abundance and you eat a little bit, as if it's like mamash, your things, okay? My benayu, right? What's the difference between them? Ika benayu, the nafkamina between the two different shitot is, look in Yudalef Amud Aleph, 11a1. Yeah? Diativ ba'arba. What does it mean ba'arba? You're on a boat, right? Now, since you're on a boat, right? So he says over here, there's no Torah Chaderech. There's no mayana. You're on a boat, right? So therefore, you're not actually traveling. You're just sitting down. Even though technically you could ask on a boat, you become even more seasick, this, that. But okay, fine. But you could still say there's a problem in Zenot, because when you get there, you're going to have a problem, right? Inami Sefer, you have the problem of Eretz Yisrael, but not the problem of Bavel. You have the problem of Zenot, but you don't have the problem of the stomach problems. Inami, another explanation, right? Another answer, practical difference between them. You have it, Ka'azil me'avna le'avna. You're going from one achsanya to another achsanya. What does that mean? Meaning, since there's so many different hotels along the way, you have no problem. You already know there's a kosher hotel every single stop, right? You're in Eretz Yisrael or wherever you are, and you already know in every single stop, you already have a kosher hotel here, a kosher hotel there. They have food. I checked right now. So you don't have the problem, you said the food, but you still have the problem that you're still traveling. So since you're still traveling, you have the problem of Mayana. Rav Papa, right? Rav Papa comes, and he says, Kol parsa u'parsa achilcha darifta. Do you know what he used to do was, every single parsa, he used to eat one loaf of bread. Right? Why? Because you see from here, that when Rav Papa was going, he had a kikar lechem, right, for every single parsa. And he used to travel that parsa. So therefore, he wasn't makpid to minimize his food. So kasav mishum mayana. So he held it was because of mayana. So therefore, since he was very, very balbasar, he was very, right, he was bloated. He had a big stomach. And he was very, very strong. He could be able to withstand without getting any damage or whatever it is, things like that. So therefore, and even if he's going to eat a lot, so therefore, since he was heavy, he was able to eat anything that you want. No problem of eating it. Okay? Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Says Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. If somebody's going to come and he's going to make himself hungry during the time of famine, he's going to be saved from mita meshuna. What does that mean? From a strange death. Which means that when a person's in a time of hunger, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will redeem him from death. What does that mean? If he's going to come mira'av mivayle, it says, what does it mean birav? With hunger. Mirav, from hunger. Right? What is it with hunger? What does it say? The fact that he's being mitzta'er with everybody else, which means that he's suffering with everybody else and he's eating very little during the time of hunger. So in the sachar and the reward of the hunger, he's going to be saved from strange deaths. Amar Shakish says Shakish, more than that. Person is not allowed to have marital relations during the time of famine. Shneimar says in Pasuk, look how everything that we're learning is mamash parashat HaShavua. Everything, mamash, one after another. What does that mean? Yosef HaTzadik had 2 children before Shenat Harav, before it became, right, the time of the... What? Exactly, meaning before the years of famine, when it was still the years of abundance, that's when he had the 2 children beforehand. Tana, but we did learn in a Braita, but people that don't have children at all, they're allowed to have, right? They're allowed to have relations during, because if not, when are they going to have it? Meaning you're going to come now, Chas Shalom, they didn't have a time that they knew, right, how long it was going to take. It could take 1 year, it could take 5 years, it could take 10 years. They didn't know. So therefore what? You're going to tell them not to have relations with them, then what? Then when are they going to have children? They need to have children. So therefore, if somebody never had children, they're allowed to. Tana Rabbanan, we also learned in a Braita. During the time when Bnei Yisrael are going to be in a tzar, and they separated, one of them separated, they're going to be the 2 Malachei HaSharet that they accompany the human being, right, every single day. They're going to place their hands on his head, and they're going to say, this guy that he separated from the tzibur, he's not going to see the nechama of the tzibur. Why is he not going to see the nechama of the tzibur? Because at the end of the day, if you don't participate in the bad things of the tzibur, so you're not going to participate also in the good things of the tzibur. So midah kenega midah. Okay? So again, remember this about the 2 people, the 2 malachim that they accompany the human being. Tanya idach, we also learned in another braita, when you have the tzibur that they're going to be suffering, a person shouldn't say, I'm going to go to my house, I'm going to eat and I'm going to drink. Shalom alayich nafshi, and as if I'm going to have shalom. Don't worry about me. But if you do that, the pasuk says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be crying. He's going to call that day for suffering and everything. This guy is coming and he's having sasom v'simcha. Harog bakar v'shachot, he's coming. He's doing all. He's eating meat and drinking wine. What, tomorrow they're going to die? What's written afterwards? Meaning, he's saying that you have to enjoy life. Why? Tomorrow they're going to die. So they have to enjoy life. Well, you don't want to enjoy life. At the end of the day, if after 120 a person dies, so at least enjoy. That's what the guy's saying. So he says, what does it say right afterwards? He says what? Hashem is swearing. Right? The Navi is coming and making a gezerah. He's coming and he's saying, right? Hashem is swearing that if this is going to be atoned for them until they die. Meaning somebody that takes away his eyes from the tzibur and he doesn't care about them, that they're suffering and he's enjoying himself whenever he wants. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to forgive so easily. He's swearing in the name of Hashem, he's not going to forgive so easily. And that's why to do with the rishut of the Beronim, of normal people. What about the Reshaim? What's written by Reshaim? They're going to be getting drunk. Right? That look how what's going to be today, tomorrow. What's written afterwards? The tzaddik is going to be passing away. And why is it exactly? People are not going to pay attention. They're not going to know why. And the reason why is because of the future, what's going to happen to the people. Which means that the tzaddik was taken away in order that he doesn't have to suffer with the people. Yeah, it means he's going to be suffering with them. So what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to take away the tzaddik, and now the tzaddik doesn't have to suffer. And now the people don't understand why is the tzaddik passing away. But it was all because they're not paying attention to the tzibur. So therefore, the tzaddik comes and he's taken away, so therefore he doesn't have to suffer with them, because the tzaddik would have suffered with them. Okay? Ella, but rather, what a person should do? A person should make himself suffer with the tzibur. We found by Moshe Rabbeinu that he suffered with the tzibur. But it says in a pasuk, the hands of Moses were heavy. Yeah, the hands of Moshe Rabbeinu were heavy. They took a stone, and they placed it underneath him. He sat on the stone. Why didn't Moshe Rabbeinu sit on a stone? He didn't have a pillow or a blanket to sit down on. To sit down on. But this is what Moshe Rabbeinu said. Since Bnei Yisrael are suffering, so in the middle of a war, I'm going to be with them also in suffering. And therefore, if you're going to be mitzayer yourself with the tzibur, so you're going to have midah keneg midah. You're going to see in the simcha of the tzibur. If you come and you suffer with the tzibur, you're going to see the nechamat tzibur. And that's why I told you that the Chavetz Chaim, he was actually sleeping on a bench during the World War. Right? It was a completely world war. He didn't sleep on a bed. He was sleeping on the bench of Metakenes. Why? How could he sleep on a bed, he said, when everyone else is going to be suffering? Shema Yomar Adam. Okay, but maybe a person is going to say, me maybe, who's going to testify about me? Yeah, who's going to testify about me? So he says, he says, right? He says, the stones, right, of the house of the human being and the beams of the house of the human being were testifying. Shneimar b'zenet pasuk, ki even mikir tizak. The avanim from the kirot, the stones from the walls are going to be screaming, right? Ukafis me'etz yanena, right? And the chetzi levina is going to answer from the shurot of the kirot of the bait also. So you see from here that even the beams and the stones of the house, they will testify about a human being. What are our actions? What are his actions? Meaning that who's going to testify? You're by yourself in the room, nobody's around. The walls are going to testify. The beams, right? They're going to testify. Yeah. Another shita. Rabbi Shila Amri. Right? Chetzi levena. A half of a brick. Yeah, he says, Rabbi Shila Amri. Shnei malachei Hashem alavinu l'adam hen meidim alav. The two malachei Hasharet that they're always coming and accompanying a human being, they're the ones that are going to come and they're going to testify, right, against a human being. Meaning, you remember before we just mentioned about the two people that were accompanying us, right? So the two malachim. So here we have them again, the same two malachei Hasharet. Right? They're going to testify about Shemar. What does it mean? The malachim, which they are going to be with us all the time, that he commanded upon us, they are the ones that are going to testify against us. The neshama of a human being are going to testify against us. The one that sleeps, that lies down in your bosom, which is the neshama, shemor pitche picha. You have to watch your pitche picha, the entrance of your mouth. Which means you have to be careful. Why? Because the neshama will testify. And some people say even evarav shel adam, even the evarav shel adam is going to be the, what is the evarav shel adam? The organs of human being. Shemidim bo. Shneimar, but it says in the pasuk, atem edai neum Hashem. What does it mean? Atem edai neum Hashem. The evarim of a human being, right? Those are the evrei adam. Those are the ones which are going to come and testify against a human being. Those are the evarim of al-adam. They will come and testify. We continue Bezrat Hashem tomorrow.